renewable energy has an important role to play in delivering a sustainable energy in the future, decreases dependence on imported fuels, and contributes to the mitigation of climate change by reducing carbon emissions. One approach that currently discussed among ASEAN countries is net metering use to decentralize PV power generation. While net metering can be a suitable scheme in some countries, clear technical guidance for the interconnection of decentralized PV generation systems has also to be in place, as well as the pricing or tariff structure to incentivize investment. To date, only Philippines that has started to implement net metering. The question is whether net metering will be the most suitable approach for the country itself. This video aims to gain knowledge about net metering and also to gather thoughts on the prospect of implementing net metering in ASEAN region. What is net metering?
Net metering is one policy adopted worldwide, specifically for solar, for consumers of electricity to put up a facility in their rooftop and then avail of the generation from that net metering facility to offset their expensive generations electricity coming from the distribution utility. It uses a two-way meter for the export and import of electricity. So at the end of the billing period, the difference is the only consumption or generation that is paid by the distribution utility or by the end user.
How is it implemented in the Philippines?
In the implementation of the in the country of net metering, the end user alone will be buying from suppliers.
Okay.
The initial investment cost is to be shouldered by the end user. There's no subsidy in the implementation of net metering in the Philippines.
How does utility support the government in implementing net metering in the Philippines?
Okay, so in the Philippines, we have more than 140 distribution utilities in the country, and Meralco is leading the distribution sector, doing its mandate of offering this net metering program to our customers. So we even prepared ahead of the promulgation of the net metering rules with our own pilot project in the compound.
How do you share the lesson learned from the Philippines to the other ASEAN countries?
So it serves as a test bed for us, so we can confidently roll out the program to our customers. And incidentally, we are launching a handbook. After 1 year of monitoring the pilot, we are sharing our learnings, our experience to the rest of the other distribution utilities.
How is the prospect of implementing net metering in your country?
If you talk about the possibility is huge, because as you may know, Indonesia is an archipelagic country with this more than 17,000 of islands. So if we want to implement especially solar PV, then the possibility is huge. If we talk about net metering, so of course we will talk about solar PV installation on the rooftop, what we call a rooftop installation. And if we talk about rooftop, we are talking about connecting the PV installation to the grid. So if you want to connect the PV installation to the grid in Indonesia, we are talking about grid in Jamali, Java, Madura, Bali Islands, which is in terms of quality of the network, it is better than other.
For me, in Malaysia, net metering must be implemented. It's not an option, it's a must. Because our fund for feed-in tariff is limited. So we estimated that it can be used up to 2017. So it keep decreasing. Our fund keep decreasing because we have to consider for 20 years. 20 years for FIT, for feed-in tariff people who apply for the PV photovoltaic quota.
And currently we're assisting the government on identifying which regulatory framework that suits in Brunei, considering the current institutional and electricity market circumstances of the country. And the energy minister is very interested in net metering, and we are currently looking into the possibility of introducing net metering for residential energy consumers. And well, there's a big challenge considering that the tariff rate is relatively low, but we are developing potential options and potential measures that will make the net metering be implementable in Brunei.
Yeah, technically it's important that proper interconnection standards are put in place, that the technical rules are well defined, that the industry knows what to expect and what to comply with. With regard to the technical contents of these rules, there are a couple of standard things like power quality, ensuring that PV inverters won't disturb the grid. There are safety aspects to be considered, especially safety of people that do maintenance work on LV feeder, that they won't be exposed to any kind of back energization. All these aspects are technically feasible without any problem. It's also known and applied on international level, but it has to be put into the corresponding standards, and it is important that the industry will work against and with these standards.
Well, there is definitely an opportunity for net metering in the ASEAN countries. We have heard during the workshop that the Philippines has introduced net metering now, and there's a lot of interest from other countries for net metering. However, each country has to consider themselves whether this support mechanism is the right one or feed-in tariff. The second one is also within net metering and feed-in tariff, there are different variants. And all these variants depend on the parameters of the electricity market in each country, the electricity rate being the number one, but then also avoided cost, cross subsidies, and some other parameters.